In the last video, I created a simple application to track members of a club and their subscriptions. In this video, I will code these three operations defined in the action group in the Angling Club class. First, let's remind ourselves what the generated application looks like. I'll just get rid of this now so it won't appear in future. Here are the three operations in the action menu. If I try and execute one, I get a not implemented message. If we look at the member collection, then you can see I've created a few more members for the operations to work on. Right, so let's get started. First, I'll implement the subscriptions total operation. Like all the operations, this will be in the action operations class in the controller module. Here it is. And you can see where the not implemented message came from. I'll just replace that with the code I've already written. Alright, so remove that and paste it in. The purpose of this operation is simply to tell us how much has been raised so far this year in subscriptions. So let's examine the code. First, we zero our totalizer. To count up the cash, we just iterate through all the members with a subscription status of paid and add their membership type subscription amount. Then we display the result. This looks suspiciously easy. Let's see if it works. So, subscription total, and the amount is 80. I'll just check that. We have three members that have paid, one with each membership type. If we look at the types, we can see that adding one of each does indeed add up to 80 quid, so it works. Looking closer at the code, we can see that the collection we are iterating through is accessed through a class called the. This class gives access to the singleton objects in your application. In this case, as in most cases in fact, there is only one, the Angling Club object. Then we access that object's member collection and call the members with subscription status method on it. This method was generated because the subscription status property of the member was marked as discriminative, meaning that we want to use this value to discriminate between objects, in the non-pejorative sense of course, which is exactly what we need to do here. For each member object, we simply access its associated membership type and add on the appropriate subscription amount. Remember, we're dealing with objects from a database here, but we see nothing which accesses the database. In fact, the database accesses happen within the generated methods and property accessors. All you need to do is access these in the same way as you would as if the objects were just in memory. Like this, Persistate turns C# into a language for programming persistent objects directly, and the object graph you work on is the one described in your definition file. Now let's implement the clear subscriptions operation. I'll just copy in the code. First, this asks the user for confirmation. Note the use of the UI property here. This gets you an abstract user interface object, which you use to do all the user interface work. It's entirely abstract. You can't tell where the UI is or even what type it is. Assuming the user confirms, then again we iterate through the member collection, but this time it's all members, returned by the refresh many method. Then we simply set each member's subscription status to not paid, and that's it. We return a result action of commit to tell Persistate to send the changes to the database. Again, all the magic happens in the property accessors, this time the set accessor of the subscription status property. Let's try it out. I'll run the app. Select the operation, confirm, and it's done. Now if I check all the members, we can see that all the statuses have been reset. And now if I get the current total is 0. Finally, let's do the mail shot operation. I'll just copy the code. And in this case, we also have another wee method which we use to send the mail. This one is a bit more complicated, but it's still pretty simple really. First, we use the select objects user interface method. This is a general purpose method allowing the user to select one or more objects of a particular type from the persistent tree. Then we create a new email content object and, with the help of a container properties object, display it in a modal dialog with an OK cancel button. If the result of that is not positive, then we don't do anything further. Otherwise, we iterate through the members selected by the user and call the send mail method. Note this set status method call, which is setting a message and a percentage complete in the application status bar. We return no action since no objects were modified. The send mail method does exactly what it says on the tin. The details here are of course fictitious, so it's not going to work for us here and now. To test it, I'll replace the send mail call with a simple message box. Note the nominative text property here. This returns the values of all properties marked as nominative, in this case, forename and surname. We also need to put in a couple of usings to make sure things compile. Now let's try it out. Mail shot. This is the select objects method call. It allows you to browse the persistent tree, but here it's very simple. We select the members collection, and since there are many of them, we get the lookup form. Let's look for pro members only. Check them all. Select them. Click OK. Now we have the email content form. Let's see now. On Saturday evening, we're going to have an outing for tea and crumpet at the vicarage. Well, you've got to have something for your 50 quid, I suppose. Click OK. And there goes one email, and there's the other. And then it's done. Note the status bar updates. And that's it. Our wee application is complete. I'll just point out one thing. In creating this application, all I had to do myself was write the definition file and the 3 operation methods. Everything else was generated or supplied by Persistate. And if you look at the methods, they're all core business logic. I haven't had to write anything at all which was not directly to do with the business at hand. And that's what Persistate is all about. It lets you concentrate wholly on your own core business.